this season he's played like a starter, like a number one.
Yes.
But I would say over the long haul, you probably prefer him to be a backup because this might be a career year for him.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and highlights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And it's your boy, Evan Closky.
Back again, and we appreciate it, bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
So whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs and Carl Crawford,
we are here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 6th season covering the Rays daily.
And every season they've gone to the playoffs. Hopefully they do it again this year. So grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, subscribe to the Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
This episode of Locked On Rays is brought to you by Booking.com. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today.
All right, fellas, let's jump right into it. Ulises, this was a mailbag question we did not have an opportunity to peruse early in the week, but figured it would be part of a larger discussion on the Rays catching position. So we'll throw it out there and react from there. This question comes from Michael Townley. He says, Yankees fleeced? ? Would you guys say the Rays won the Rortvedt trade? He might lack a bit of power, but he gets on base. And a little context here, going back to it, that trade that occurred right before the season, literally, Rays, of course, got Ben Rortvedt. The Marlins got minor league outfielder Shane Sasaki, and minor league outfielder from the Yankees, John Cruz, and the Yankees got John Berti. So it was actually a 3-team deal where the Rays got Rortvedt, Marlins get 2 prospects, and the Yankees get John Berti, who's been in the league for some time and plays basically every position in infield, third base, shortstop, second base, and he's been hurt quite a bit this season. So your thoughts, Evan?
I don't want to say it's a fleecing, right? Because it's not like Ben Rortvedt was going to play often with the Yankees. I think that the Yankees they were stuck, right? I think, yes. You got to remember that Ben was also taking up a 40-man spot for them. So it's one of those things for the Yankees where they don't view it as a fleecing, more of like, good on you, right? Like, hey, you're with the Rays now, you're getting playing time, we're happy for you. So, good on the Yankees doing right by the player and allowing him to go to a destination where he's going to actually have an ability to play pretty much every day. You get some days here and there when a lefty goes, but I don't know what more you could have asked for from Ben Rortvedt. Right. A 758 OPS, a 120 OPS plus. He doesn't really provide the pop that you'd want in the catcher position, which is probably it's a big problem this year, or the lack of home runs. And even last year, it wasn't great with Bethancourt and Pinto and Mejia. Like, it wasn't great, but I think all of them combined still had like 22 bombs when it was all said and done. So over the full sample size, it kind of adds up. But otherwise, I've been very, very vocal on this. This season, he's played like a starter, like a number one.
Yes.
But I would say over the long haul, you probably prefer him to be a backup because this might be a career year for him.
Do you think this is an anomaly? Because he's 26 years old. He's overcome 3 knee surgeries. Maybe this is the point in time, new organization, fresh look, finally gets settled in, finally gets a true opportunity that he can develop into that 1A catcher minus the pop. I was wondering when the Ben Rortvedt luck would run out, and it hasn't run out.
Well, May was bad.
Okay.
So
But if you look at his overall numbers,
Yeah.
and we're in mid-July here, it is about as respectable as you can get for the catching position, nonetheless, for a Rays catcher as well.
yeah, I think that this is what you want, and not saying that if you get another catcher that Wordfed has to play like 40 games, right?
Right.
You know, even when like Zunino was in town, Zunino would play $110. So, you know, I mean, it's still 55 starts or 50 starts. So, you know, I think that maybe Ben can push for like 70 starts, you know, 75, 80. If he keeps going along this, you can make it really more of an even split. It certainly doesn't. I don't want to make it seem like the catching position isn't still of a need,
Right.
because they obviously need another guy. And for me personally, I would feel uncomfy thinking that, you know, Ben is going to repeat what is kind of happening this season. And if it does, great. You just continue to give him more playing time in the future. But I still think you gotta attack that other catching position. Like that's going to be your main guy as well, and at minimum play 81 games a season.
You were saying attack that other catching position, and so let's do that because I did some research, Evan, and boy, oh boy, you're not gonna like what I have to say. But first, this episode of Locked On Rays is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about, including our rival cities. Yes, that's New York. Yes, that's Boston. And of course, Baltimore. But you know what? We don't have to like their baseball teams, but we can like their baseball cities. In fact, Kevin was recently in Boston, and I'm sure that he liked Boston, right? Kevin, did you have a good time in Boston?
I did. Outside of the annoying Red Sox fans, it was a good experience.
There you go. That is a perfect takeaway from going to Boston. So from hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. So book today on Booking.com, on the site, or in the Booking.com app today.
Passion, drive, and patience. That is the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motor has got you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money is returned to you, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only. Available to U.S. customers.
You got to make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I did a little query with catchers from every year since 1998 till 2024. And every catcher that has at least 80 plate appearances, these are the rankings of Alex Jackson. Worst in OPS plus with a -26. Worst in batting average with 63. Worst on base, worst slugging, worst OPS at 254, worst K rate at 42%, worst tied all time of F4 at -1.0 F4. In fact, Ryan Hanigan, everybody loves Ryan Hanigan, he had 176 more plate appearances than Alex Jackson. Jackson is only 3 strikeouts away to tie what Ryan Hanigan did. So that's the hitting aspect. Is there any salvageable stat hitting-wise? We'll hit the defense later because I also did some research on that, Evan. Is there anything salvageable for Alex Jackson offensively?
I don't know. Baseball Reference has his DRS at a +2, which surprisingly for the Rays has been a problem this season. Like, I went through a deep dive today, so I'm glad that you guys called me. This was me nerding out. So this season, by the way, so why I say a 2 DRS is very important. And by the way, let me get this disclaimer out right now, because I've said this a million times, and I've said it on here. There is no excuse for Alex Jackson. None, right? It's a complete egg on the front office's face that they have Alex Jackson out there for any sort of at-bats. I do add the asterisk of he is not that important to the overall operations, that in my list of issues with players and the reasons why this team is completely mediocre, Alex Jackson is nowhere near the top 5. It's just painful to watch. I understand all those frustrations, but he has like 80 at-bats this season. So factor in all the at-bats in 2024 so far. He's got 80. So it's just like, I get it. He's not good. He's objectively not good. So I'm with everybody there. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that the reason why the Rays are mediocre is not because of Alex Jackson. It's a litany of other reasons, and it's sad that Alex Jackson is still the backup catcher. Objectively speaking, I got to walk into that locker room, but I got to be objective too. That is just the strength. Now, having said that,
Evan, before you get into your dovetail, and I was going to save this for a little bit later, but figured we might as well bring it up. Is there something that we're missing if Alex Jackson has been this atrocious? And I know in your argument, he's a small piece to the larger pie of issues with the Rays. Why don't they dump him and recall Rene Pinto, who is on the 40-man? Is there something we're missing here?
I don't quite know. My guess is that they're just going all in on the defense. You know, Rene Pinto, I forget it off the top of my head, but he was in the minuses for the DRS. You know, and I do know that their system, whatever they use internally, it's very different than what like we see on Baseball Savant or Outs Above Average and all that stuff. You know, I've had conversations in the past about like, hey, like Taylor Walls, my eyes tell me he's really stinking good at defense, but why do I look at OAA and he's terrible? And they're pretty much like, I don't know. But if you look at like Baseball Reference DRS, like Taylor Walls is phenomenal. So I tend to lean towards defensive stuff from Baseball Reference because it seems like that's more in the realm of what they look at. And all I can say is that what you would gain from Rene Pinto at the plate and what you would lose at the catching position with Alex Jackson, what's in the middle is not as significant as you think. So might as well just allow Rene Pinto to probably just get at bats, continue to learn the position a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, it is a little bit damning that Rene Pinto is not back with the club. Now, I don't think that Rene Pinto has earned his way back with the club, right? When you're not going to be So Taylor Walls, Jose Siri, Jose Caballero, when you talk about these guys, and Cabby actually doesn't have a great DRS, which surprised me, but he does move around a lot. When you talk about these guys who don't really have great OPSs, don't hit for average, all this stuff, you have to be able to make up for it with your fielding, right? So Rene Pinto hasn't proven that he can hit at a certain level to make up for his defensive deficiencies. So in the end, the discrepancy is minute. Like we're talking this thin. So if they're saying to themselves, if we're only gaining a little bit with Rene Pinto, and if the pitching staff prefers Alex Jackson,
that could be it too.
Why not just keep him and say, you know what? Our pitchers prefer him. He hit whatever in AAA. He's a quadruple A player, but maybe with extended time, it will catch fire eventually.
Yeah, that was kind of my line of thinking. Of really the only thing I could think of outside of maybe Pinto made a mistake off the field or something like that, but maybe it was just internal discussions and scuttlebutt of pitchers just really aren't vibing with Pinto, and maybe that's the reason why they did the
which is odd because Which is odd because last year we heard raving reviews of Pintos behind the plate. So what happened in that 1 month of baseball that the Rays were like, no, we cannot have Pinto behind the plate?
Yeah, I don't know. And you're not going to get like the full story. I mean, once we kind of get to the end of the season, or they like completely sell off or they tail and it's like they're completely out of it by end of August or whatever, then you can start asking questions. You usually get a little bit more transparency and the process kind of comes to light. So I'm not here to kind of – there could be some stuff that we don't know.
It just doesn't make
totally
sense,
not,
Evan.
But it does in the sense – so it doesn't and it does, right? It doesn't in the sense that, like, if this is a younger guy and you touted him all offseason, you said he's your guy. After a month, he wasn't good. You sent him down, and then you bring up a backup who literally is hitting just as well as me or you would at the plate. And the fact that he stays down there is damning on him. I mean, they're pretty much telling us either A, your defense is effing atrocious, or B, there's something behind the scenes we don't know and we don't want to have you up here. You got to learn your lesson. So now I'm not here to I don't know what that is. But again, when I look at things logically. When I don't have the information directly, I look at things logically, and I just don't believe that the discrepancy between Jackson and Pinto is as wide as you think when you factor in defense and offense, not just how bad Alex Jackson is offensively. And I get it. He's a -1 player. I mean, like it's pretty wild to me. So I don't think that the Rays, I don't think they want to make a move until they know what they're doing. Because when Alex Jackson is released, he's gone. He's done.
But okay. But no, let's not. Somebody's going to pick him up. Okay. Yeah. Anybody.
No, I get that.
Pick up Alex Jackson.
I understand that. But then they don't have a third option in their system. So
but they do. They do. Logan Driscoll. And I know he's on the 40-man.
Not
everybody has 3 catchers in the 40-man.
And to me, at some point, I do believe that Driscoll should get an opportunity. He came off an injury for a large portion of the season. So I don't know how he's feeling, what his defensive abilities are. There's a lot of what ifs there. And while they're still competing for a playoff spot, and regardless of what it says on Fangraphs or whatever, with playoff projections and stuff that I say, so I'm not like discounting it. I'm just saying that in that clubhouse, in that front office, they have to, in that clubhouse, they're fighting for a playoff spot. The front office is also fighting for a playoff spot while also looking with one eye to the future and selling. But they're not going to completely screw over Kevin Cash over a backup. Like, if he likes him, if the pitcher's, then screw it. It's like, whatever, fine. If this is your preferred option, I'm going to search around. But until I find something better, here's your guy. Like, it is what it is. So again, understand the frustrations. He's not a good hitter, and he won't be on the Rays roster, certainly entering next season. But again, the outcry and the angst and all this stuff, it's like, in Thursday's game against the Yankees, people want to cry about Alex Jackson getting out in that spot with Jose Siri on third. Mm-hmm. Complain about Cabby and DeLuca, who were up before and didn't get the job done. Like, that's like, those guys are going to be around a while. Those guys.
But the thing is, continued ineptitude, continued just awful.
But he's not supposed to be.
People say that.
But that's fine. But no team is relying on a backup catcher.
Nobody should be saying that. And nobody should be saying. At least we're not in this podcast that we're relying on catcher number 2. But there comes a time when I don't care if the 12 pitchers that are on the staff just love the guy and are for the next 50 years, we'll give him a Christmas card every year. But the thing is, Chris Davinsky gets the boot. Erasmo Ramirez gets the boot. Why do they get the boot? Because you're not performing.
Bill Maton gets the boot. Aaron Savali gets the boot.
I think it's time for Jackson to be on that path. Look, Mejia was not a great catcher. He had a better caught stealing percentage than Alex Jackson.
It's not a caught stealing thing. It's not. His caught stealing percentage is bad. He's got a great pop time. He doesn't do anything with it. The balls are flying everywhere. So it comes down to framing. He is very good at framing.
Oh, I love that you said that. Because according to Fangraphs, he does rank 6 all time in framing. The only thing is Ben Rordvet and Rene Pinto rank higher than Alex Jackson at 3rd and 4th. It doesn't make sense.
Not this season. Rene Pinto was not good with framing.
No, but I'm saying like all time, that's where they are ranked right now. It just doesn't make sense.
But the fact is, all time doesn't matter to me. If Rene Pinto did something in the past and now it's not working in the present, I mean, go look at Pinto's numbers this year with framing. They're below average. So
it was just 1 month.
But the fact is, it was below average. So if he was that good of being a top 5 framer, he wouldn't just completely fall off either. And I do have to wonder if maybe there's, I mean, look, catchers are kind of transitioning the way that they catch the ball now. They have their leg out. It's not so much about their flexibility is limited because now it's all about how many strikes can I steal. I mean, you saw Alex Jackson with Kevin Kelly pitching on Thursday. A ball was a sweeper way outside and he couldn't reach it. It's not Alex Jackson's fault. It's just the way that he's positioned now to set up framing. I mean, it's an epidemic across the league. Like you probably are going to see an uptick if we haven't already. It's something worth digging into. You probably see an uptick in wild pitches because catchers aren't now in position to block as well. If it's not within your scope, those outside pitches are done. So I don't know. I mean, I'm completely out of pocket right now. I don't know if it's just like, hey, we want our catchers to do this now, and maybe there's a transition there that's not working. I don't know.
You said first is what you said first, Evan. I think it's their proprietary database. How they use their own metrics is winning out at whatever we can see, because whatever we can see outside, hitting and defensively, he's not good hitting, and he's not elite or at least very good defensively either. He's not. He's okay.
And the thing is, just very quickly, I want to piggyback because you mentioned Davinsky gone, Maton gone. Well, Davinsky, it got to the point with Davinsky that he was actually blocking better options at this point. Like that was pure stubbornness, right? They have arms down there. Like we're seeing Uceta right now. We're seeing Manuel Rodriguez, who definitely deserved an opportunity up here. And look, the Mets, I mean, I'm sure there was an offer out there for a while when Maton was slumping, like, hey, anybody who will pay his salary the rest of the year, he's yours. And it wasn't like they would have just kept Maton up until the deadline. I'm sure the Mets came in and said, we'll take it. And that was it, done and done. And then they brought him up. So it just, there are backup options even beyond that. If Sean Armstrong's not going to be in this bullpen soon, I think they're waiting for a caller to just take Armstrong off their hands, and then Sterner might come up. They have guys that eventually they have to get Major League Baseball experience so that they can figure out, hey, are you a part of our future bullpen or are you not? But with catcher, with Driscoll, and certainly with like Keegan, you can't rush your prospects because I'm hurting over here. You got to do right by them. And with the relief pitching, there are younger guys who are ready for opportunities and have already been granted those opportunities in the shuttle service, which hasn't been as frequent as we're used to seeing. Yeah. But with catcher, I don't know if Driscoll is ready in their eyes, and they do not rush development. Sometimes I think stubbornly, but there's a difference between our opinions and the way they operate. And I like to make my opinions based on the way they operate. So that's just the way that it kind of.
Well, before we go to baseball trivia, I do want to tell people, yes, Logan Driscoll is having a fantastic season. I'm going to give you some hope, people. There is some hope. He was hurt, but he's been back since June 6th. And although his June was not good, boy, his July is looking real fine. He's hitting 280 with an 800 OPS. So hopefully his time will come soon. But Kevin, the time has come for baseball trivia.
Before we get to that, I just want to do a quick Closky on the clock, if that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock.
Closky.
So over the weekend, another podcast host presented me a hypothetical trade. Mm-hmm. A Mariners-related podcast host, I should note. He said, I want Isaac Paredes And for Isaac Paredes, I will give you Harry Ford, catching prospect, and Cole Young, infield prospect. On MLB's top 100, they're ranked 22nd and 23rd, respectively. And as you would imagine, they're the top 2 prospects in the Mariners system. If the Rays were legitimately approached with that offer today, would and should they take it?
No. They would not take it. I don't think they should take it. But the Mariners are a great team. I don't think it's an embarrassing offer. Let me say that. It just doesn't make much sense for a team that's got a logjam up the middle with infielders to add another one that's kind of coming up through the chute, right? So to me, my counter offer would be, it would certainly be Ford. It would be Montes, the outfielder who's having a great season. And then I would want Brash, and who I think is getting Tommy John this season. He won't be back till middle of next season. But I want a piece of their arms. Maybe that's Bryce Miller, but somebody. As I said, I do not believe I will be surprised if Isaac Paredes is traded, but I do mention in that fact that you better make it worth my while, and sending those 2 guys doesn't do it for me.
Right under 60 seconds. There we go.
Here at Locked On Rays, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for the Rays, whether it's the offseason, the draft, the team has just gotten swept. It doesn't matter. It's year-round. And you know what else is year-round? Collection season. So just because tax season is over, it doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming for you for unfiled taxes. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. So again, they have 14 years of experience, an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau. Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. So whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. And be sure to mention Locked On Rays at checkout, and you'll receive a $250 discount off their services. Again, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon today. You know who's pretty confident? All-star Isaac Paredes. And you can be confident as well. And the one thing that can help you get that confidence is to get a stylist who understands your style, size, and budget. And you can do that with Stitch Fix. You can easily upgrade your wardrobe this year with professional stylist that helps you find new on-trend favorites that will work for you. Stitch Fix makes it all so easy. I don't like to shop, and they save me the time and effort. Plus, I get outfits that make me look good, which in fact make me feel really, really good. So for style that makes you feel as good as you look, now's the best time to get started at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $100 off. That's $25 off your first 4 fixes for a limited time only. That's stitchfix.com/MLB for $100 off. Stitchfix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 7 days of sign up. Offer does not include kids fixes.
All right, time for baseball trivia. Name that war. I just wanted to get that out of the way. My trivia question is very related to the discussion we've had on this app. Catchers, all-time career catcher war. Not for the Rays because it wouldn't have very high numbers there. This is all-time catchers. Top 10 in history. And the wars range from 50.4 to 75.1. Gentlemen, I want 6 of these 10 names.
Oh, bro, we're going to kill this. Done.
Wait, so the all-time best catchers.
This is so... I think
all-time best catchers. That more or less is the exercise.
Okay, so do we ping pong, Evan?
Yeah, we need this bench.
Number 1 on the list, 75.1.
Piazza.
Roy Campanella?
What guess... Okay, Campanella, strike 2. Or strike 1. Strike 1, I'm sorry.
Piazza.
Mike Piazza, number 5 on the list with 59.5.
What do you think about Carlton Fisk?
Sure. And we can do Gary Carter after.
Carlton Fisk is number 4 on this list with 68.5. And then Gary Carter is number 2 all time, 70.2. So you have 4 names thus far and 1 strike.
Buster Posey? Joe Mauer.
Wait. He said, what was the least WAR? He said 52. How much? Can you tell us that, Kevin?
Sure. 50.4 is the lowest.
50.4. And Posey got drafted in 08, but his first season was 2010, and then he retired 2 years ago, 2022. So he played 13 seasons, and he was out with one with a knee. I don't think he reaches 55.
Do we want Mauer? I forget what he was. Is he?
I think he was above 50. Yeah, right. Oh, but is it only as a catching position that you get the WAR?
That's a good question.
Do you know that, Kevin?
I just went into Baseball Reference, searched catching WAR, and the spreadsheet popped up on my list here. That's all I can do.
Okay. What about Yachty, bro?
Ooh. Well, I wonder if he's fringe. Let's go with him. I mean, his defense was so good. I have to imagine.
Yachty Molina, not Jose Molina. For all his faults, he did save a lot of runs with his framing. He was kind of the innovator of the framing, I should say, Mr. Molina. Strike 2. Yachty Molina is not on this list.
Why did I say it was going to be easy? You never say that. You should never say that.
We got in the hopper. We got Posey and Mauer, and just give it a think for a second.
Let's name teams, and then we'll come up with a huge name.
Dodgers.
Posada?
Probably not. Oh, Yogi Berra?
Ooh, Yogi Berra is a good one.
Yogi Berra?
Is that the guess?
Yeah.
Yogi Berra is the guess. He is number 6 on this list with 59.5. So I need one more name.
That works. Okay, so Red Sox, we got Fisk. Toronto, no. Baltimore, no. East Braves. Did the Braves have a huge catcher? Mets, we already said Carter. Philadelphia, not Marlins.
Oh, Pudge.
Ivan Rodriguez, yes, nice.
Ivan Rodriguez, number 3 on this list, 68.7. Very good. The top 10, and all of these guys.
It was easy.
All of these guys are Hall of Famers, by the way. Bench, Carter, Pudge, Fisk, Piazza, Berra, Bill Dickey, Gabby Hartnett, Joe Mauer, number 9, and then Ted Simmons, number 10.
Oh, you were right on Posey. I would have done Mauer over only because I would have just thought with the Hall of Fame stuff happening this week that would have been natural.
And the way that he said it, I just put it on the thing. I'm like, then it's not going to be specific about the wars or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. That was a great question. And for Name That War, which if you have never seen this segment before, is where we take a player from the past and we try to guess their career war according to Baseball Reference using our Baseball Archive mind. And today I went to the Yankees because the Rays are playing the Yankees, and I went to the 2000 roster.
Oh boy.
And guess what? I found this name. Ted Lilly. What is Ted Lilly's baseball career war according to Baseball Reference?
Answer me this. Did he play for the Cubs for an extended period of time?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
And he was a pitcher.
He played for the Blue Jays too, I think.
Yeah,
maybe?
Good memory.
Yeah. God.
And he's a pitcher?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, he is a pitcher. Yeah. Holy smoky Josephs. My guess is he kind of had like a longer run than I'm thinking. Like, did he might have like 9-10 years? Like, he probably is longer than that. I mean, holy crap. I don't know. So I'm just gonna go with like 14.2.
Yeah, I didn't collect many Ted Lilly trading cards growing up or have an interest in looking up his Baseball Reference, so this is a good one. I'm going to say he played at least a decade in the league, probably 12 years if we know him from the Yankees, the Cubs, and maybe another team or two. I want to say he was journeyman-esque, like 1.4 ERA. Probably didn't strike out a ton of guys. I'm talking out of my butt. I don't really know what I'm doing here. But I will say he had an 18 career WAR. That is what I'm going with. Final answer.
All right, fingers off of the keyboard, Kevin, because I want you to know that he was a 2-time All-Star.
Okay.
And he almost reached 2,000 innings in his 15-year career.
Wow.
In the majors. And yes, he did play with the Yankees, but also the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, the Oakland A's, and Montreal. Oh, look at that. A career 4.14 ERA. Very good, Kev. In his career WAR, a man who has 130 wins to his name and 1,681 strikeouts. Gotta give a little more love to Ted Lilly. Okay, people. So. 27.1 for Ted Lilly. How about them apples?
Wow.
That's a go. I was stumped. You got me. You win that one. That I had no base. Funny, I remember he played for the Blue Jays. That's pretty much like obviously the Yankees.
Surprising.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
I can see his face. I remember his face. I don't remember anything he ever did.
Same. Yeah. Very unmemorable and I guess somewhat remarkable career based on being an all-star a couple times.
I think if you see his picture, you would be like, oh, that's a normal Joe off the street. He is.
He's a very normal looking guy.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly that. And but who's not a normal looking guy and he's amazing at his job is Evan Closky. Evan Closky, tell people where they can find their your awesome content.
10tampabay.com. A lot of stuff cooking on the X at eClosky WTSP. We got the big stadium vote coming next week.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to make sure that you have us locked in on 10 Tampa Bay Plus, 10 Tampa Bay, and 10tampabay.com.
We might have to have a mega crossover round table with yourself and your cohort, Mr. Aaron, over there. That might be a fun episode. So
yeah, he's been at it since day one. I've been kind of riding coattails off of him, and just kind of watching from afar. But hopefully, I do plan to be at that vote. So
coming soon.
If you're there, please ask Neander somebody, why isn't Pinto getting the call? What's going on with Pinto? Why is Jackson still on the roster? You're a professional. You know what to do. Just throw those heaters at him. So, all right. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you next week.